Are you ready to learn the 3 secrets to launching a successful podcast? Hi, I'm Bill, a recent client of the Podcast Mogul. If you've been thinking about starting a podcast but aren't sure where to begin, he's got you covered. He is hosting a free webinar where he will share the 3 secrets that can help you launch, grow, and monetize your podcast without any fancy equipment or technical headaches. Click the link in the show notes to save your spot now and let him help get your podcast off the ground.
Like the marketing is so technical now that the technical side of it, you can learn that's easy. If you are a creative person, the game is yours once you've learned the technical side. Because
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast. I am, of course, your host with the most, Phil Vetter, and this episode we're investing in Sophia Walker, the master digital marketer. Now, me and Sophia talk a whole bunch of topics ranging from B2B clients and B2C clients and how her work has helped her connect with like the United Nations, the BBC, so many other great organizations, and she gives me some tips to help a client of mine. So with all that said, let's just jump right into it. Let's listen into what Sophia has to say. Obviously, I remember you telling me that you wanted to get so big that people had to come check you out. So hopefully it works.
it does work. It's interesting. Exclusivity is a very interesting marketing tool. If you're clever, it works.
Oh, excellent. All right. So getting really started. Sophia, thank you for being on the show. It's a pleasure to have you. Now, for people who don't know, a quick introduction.
Hi, I am Sophia Walker. I'm a digital marketing strategist and a content specialist. I started as a political journalist and then end up selling writing in every single form you can consider. And as soon as you start speech writing and writing for public agencies at a high level, you can start getting them to hire you to do anything else for them. And digital marketing strategy pays significantly better. And I've recently started consulting for startups, for small and medium-sized businesses. It's kind of more interesting to step away from the enterprise level stuff, particularly in social media, because the smaller you are, the more agile you are. And from a marketing perspective, that's fun. And the most fun is marketing on a $0 budget.
Oh, that must be an interesting, that's a good challenge to have.
Yeah. It is. And it doesn't, I mean, you need more runway. If you have a short amount of time, you can't afford to do that because not everything goes viral. But if you have the luxury of time, it is so much fun to do.
Oh my God. Yeah. Because you get to test and you don't have to worry too much because your A/B tests get to be bigger and better.
Mm-hmm. And you have to scrabble for an audience in much more interesting ways. Like the marketing world is only just starting to care about personalization. Duh. You know, and you have to get personal and you have to start going on a Reddit forums and developing relationships, and you start thinking about how they do B2B sales, but you're trying to replicate that en masse for a B2C product. Yeah. And it's doable. You just have to assume that we didn't know anything right before. So forget everything you've been taught and just think about what do people like and go from there.
That's huge. Oh my God. I've been, most of my guests and some of the people that I've actually worked with, they actually came to me in my DMs pretty much. They linked up with me either through LinkedIn or on Facebook. And that's how I started working with the smaller businesses. And it works on me. So it must work on everybody.
It works completely. When I have a high-end digital marketing client, usually one of the first places that I'm getting them to spend time is, LinkedIn, number one, and then SlideShare, number two.
Oh, I haven't even started on SlideShare yet.
If you're looking at thought leadership in any kind of way, or if you're in the B2B space, SlideShare is a really, really good space to be in. And it's interesting if you look into it, right? Because it's all about PowerPoint decks. Yeah. But you are 4 times more likely to make the front page with a 1-slide infographic that's really clever than you are with an entire perfect 15, 20 slide deck.
And that makes sense because our attention span is dropping dramatically. Like you have to really sell what you're talking about in 30 seconds or less.
Exactly.
Because because of social media, everybody's busy. There's so much noise out there.
Yeah, and infographics are also harder to get right. So a good one it's incredibly shareable, and it's usually evergreen.
Yeah, it makes sense, because if one person can use it in their thing and they make it so that everybody can use it, it's even better, because
Yeah.
you're cutting down the work other people have to do.
And once something that you have that you can see as evergreen in any kind of way gains traction, mark that and share it every year. Share it every time that topic comes up.
Oh
If
yeah,
it works, it works.
yeah. There's no harm in reusing content. Like Facebook makes it so that people share their memories. So why wouldn't you reshare a content that goes viral? Because it can double jump the virality, because it punctures deeper into the consciousness of society.
I think we forget, particularly when you're starting out in entrepreneurship, and if you haven't necessarily done things to scale before, you can forget how many times a human being needs to see something before it has an impact.
Yeah, it's insane how often, and like I think it's tripled, probably even more now with social media, because there's so much out there. Like you have people who don't use social media or use it sparingly, and then you have the people who are always on it, so they're getting inundated with all this marketing stuff, because everybody's marketing now, so
Yeah, and it's difficult. I think what's useful is there are hard numbers involved. Like there are sort of benchmarks that if you are trying to be a digital entrepreneur, you can go and Google and use them as guardrails for yourself. Like we met on a comment thread about podcasting because someone was talking about ad buys being unsuccessful, and I came in with some responses, and one of the things that struck me is they talked about 4 million people. And it's like, well, it doesn't actually work that way, because if you've bought 4 million ads, how many impressions did you buy?
yeah, it's unfortunately, yeah, like you were saying on the podcasting, a lot of people don't know about, okay, what are the KPIs? What are your key metrics that you need to hit? And so there's no one in podcasting talking about that, or there's so little, you can't trust them, or like, oh, I got 5,000 downloads this month. Is that good? Well, it depends. Like, how many did you get on an episode? How many fully listen to your episode? How many comment? Like I can go out and buy a bot that will download my podcast 1 billion times. Doesn't make me successful.
If you're a digital entrepreneur in whatever way you want to be that, you need to understand that because you're committing to trying to make a business, there's some stuff you just need to know. Like I'm in digital marketing strategy now, but I've sold product lines, I've sold out a wine, I've sold out books, I've negotiated a licensing deal, I've negotiated movie options. I've been in all different kinds of sales, and it all follows similar models. Like you can't sell to someone with one ad. You have to take them through a process. And as soon as you're digital, you have such an advantage because that whole process is trackable, which means if you're a digital entrepreneur just starting out with a small business, you don't need to reinvent the wheel, and you don't even need to learn the whole wheel. You can hit Google, you can go on moz.com, you can go on the HubSpot Academy, and you can, if you give it a month dedicated, reading a couple hours a day, every day after work, you can teach yourself everything you need to know off those two sites for free inside a month. But you need to know what a KPI is. You need to know which ones to look for. You need to understand that one ad has one purpose. You need to know how to run an A/B test. And if you don't want to bother to spend the time to learn yourself, that's absolutely fine. Put aside the money and hire someone. Otherwise, you're not running a business.
No, it's a hobby. It's a passion. And I found that out with my first podcast, which ended up burning me out, because I was trying to do too much, but I didn't want to spend any money on it, right? Because I was like, podcasting is supposed to be free and easy to do for hobbyists. But if you want to make it big and successful, like Joe Rogan or Stephen Fry or any of those guys who have millions of downloads, well, you're going to have to invest some time in it. Like you said, go to HubSpot and read up on the marketing so you know what marketing is, because you have to market your podcast. And like for the longest time, I thought, oh, I'll just post it in support groups and that's where I'll get all my listeners. No.
Yeah.
No, they don't.
But I would also say that anyone entering the digital space, because the difficulty is that like we we don't really understand what brand means, right? Because everyone knows right now they need to build a brand. That's a really light way of referring to reputation.
Yeah.
That's what it is. And if you are one person behind that company, that's your reputation. And in the digital space, honestly, everything is significantly more permanent than it was before. We're finding people, not able to go to university 4 years later for stuff they tweeted in 2015. Like, take that as a lesson. Your reputation in the digital space is going to follow you. And so what are you doing as an entrepreneur? What are the impacts that might have? How are people going to feel about affiliate marketing in 5-10 years down the line? They might feel fine about some of those links. I come from the queer community. I don't know anyone who is going anywhere near Under Armour, Yangling, or New Balance ever again because they were all Trump donors.
Yep.
And it's one of those things. So like if you're making business decisions, particularly starting out in entrepreneurship in this format where everything is trackable and you are potentially going to have to answer at every point, do you understand enough about marketing to understand the negative sides of the ways you may be choosing to monetize your product or your media channels?
Yeah, it's very true. It's the same thing is kind of like happening now, like bringing in the Trump supporters that you talked about, like what happened at the Capitol this week. And people are, and like some of them are like, what do you mean? We were just like the BML people. We were peacefully protesting and then they attacked us. What do you mean? Like, these aren't our cops. And it's like, no, you guys violently protested. You were terrorists. Big difference.
I'm an immigrant, so I can't legally comment. But I would certainly applaud if I was legally allowed to applaud your comments.
It's fine. I'm not American either, so it's okay. I'm Canadian. So I
love Montreal. It's a fantastic place.
It is, and I'm from Montreal.
See, yeah, no, I looked it up. I've been on your site, so I wanted to see what you were doing.
Oh, excuse me. Yeah, no, I love Montreal is a great city. It's a great place now with the digital marketing because there's not a lot of French companies doing it. So I have a nice little in there that I can speak French and help them out there. So it's nice. And it actually got me a guest, a huge entrepreneur, founder of a startup hub in France. Yeah, I know. I was like, oh my God. Plus the help from one of my other guests. He's a LinkedIn specialist, and he gave me some advice and I used it, and I ended up getting this CEO, founder of a startup who owns a rugby team.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, this is the thing. You can usually get C-suite level executives pretty easily on podcasts because they're hearing more and more from their marketing departments that they need to position themselves as thought leaders because we can monetize that for the company.
Mm-hmm. And I'm also trying to get my day-to-day job to allow me to build their podcast network inside because it's so beneficial if you have that addition to the brand. It's just trying to get to the right person to talk to is hard.
It is difficult, and then getting them to understand, because you are talking for a podcast episode that works, you're talking about significantly more man hours than I think anyone understands who hasn't done one. Mm-hmm. But it's then understanding how many different ways that can be repurposed. Like the thing about content marketing especially is you don't ever produce a single piece of content that just stays one piece of content.
Nope.
Go ahead, you learn how to do it quickly. You learn how to toss through them, and you can have 8 things off one thing inside like 2-3 hours.
Mm-hmm. Like there, and it's not just hard for you to figure it out because there's people who are doing it for you. There's companies being created that you can put in your stuff and it will create the content for you. Like it's not the best content, but like it's the template for you to work on and build it to betterness. So like. That's what's so great about the internet. Great things are just coming out of nowhere. Like you said, HubSpot Academy wasn't around when I started podcasting.
Yeah.
And now it's like one of the places to go to for people to get information on marketing.
Yeah. And it's as long as you're willing to like Google the stuff that you don't know, mm-hmm. it's user-friendly enough. SEO is a point that you're going to have difficulty teaching yourself, and getting very good at data analytics, where if you're in digital entrepreneurship, where you're in any kind of e-commerce or you are talking about being D2C as your business model, I would really advocate at a certain point, you go and do an analytics course, because understanding how to read that stuff, how to adjust it, particularly how to do multivariate testing, it's going to save your company so much money in the long run. And the amount of money people who do that well cost is just not in the budget of a startup.
No, it's
and
not.
it's if you are an entrepreneur, right, you have to think, unless you want to stay a small business. And the sad reality is that 80% of companies that under $50 million in annual revenue never sell. So your chance of becoming the kind of size company that you want is relatively small. It's particularly small by yourself. So if you have to put a team around you, what are you bringing to that team? And it's expertise in your space is not necessarily enough. You'll need expertise in your space and an incredible network and something else that you can bring to the table. And if that third thing is marketing, it's people are really only starting to understand the importance of it now. Like for companies like Sony, we're talking about 2% of annual revenue being their budget. You're increasingly seeing the chief marketing officer being put on the board. Companies are getting it.
It's something that like some like major corporations, like it, who's the face? If you think of Amazon, you automatically think of Jeff Bezos. If you think of Berkshire Hathaway, it's Warren Buffett. Microsoft, it's Bill Gates. All businesses need that face, and you need to have that face, because our generation don't trust faceless entities anymore, because we saw how it burned us, and so that's the way society is going.
Yeah, and that's one of the massive advantages that a digital entrepreneur has immediately, because so like I, interestingly, as a hobby, I came up in spoken word. I started doing spoken word as a hobby in bars when I was 20, and before I knew it, people were paying me to go around the world, and then the UN hired me to write for them, and now I'm here. Everything went batshit, but I literally
COVID
did,
fucked everything up. It's okay.
No, you don't expect to go from that terrible, awful YouTube shit. I never did the awful YouTube shit. Don't worry. I didn't have gestures. It wasn't bad. I didn't expect it to lead to marketing, but the reason that it did is because if I came up in an industry that's in front of a live audience and there is immediate feedback. So I'm incredibly skilled in adjusting my message, but also being sensitive to how my message is being received as it's going out. That's a barrier that you have inside a podcast episode, but nowhere else in the digital space do you have that barrier. You can measure people's response to your message in real time, which means that you can continually adjust it. And the other advantage I had is that everyone assumes they know their audience. You don't. You know who you want your audience to be. That is not necessarily who your audience is. You need to, number one, find out who your audience is, and then work out how to give them what they want that meets what you're trying to do. But that rock hard lesson in marketing, that you don't know who your audience is, you need to make sure, was the most useful thing that coming up in bar entertainment ever could have done. And it's a lesson that I'll never forget. And it's something that's so easy to forget when you're just looking at numbers and digital identities on a screen and demographics. And like, excuse my French, fuck demographics, psychographics. When you're looking at targeting, pay attention to psychographics. Sure, I mean, my dad talks about demographics. He's 74, lovely. He barely knows what Twitter is. They're pointless. It's the behavioral shit.
Yeah, because that's where we're moving towards. Like before, marketing and getting numbers was so hard because we didn't have the programs or the systems in place like today we do. So they were like, what is the basic categories we can put people in? Demographics, their age, their sex, that's it. If they're married, they're single, that's all we need to know about them. But now we can go down to what's your favorite football team, what's your job, what's like, you can pinpoint in accuracy like your exact client that you want or the exact listener you want by using the demographics and the psychoanalyticals that Facebook and all these other platforms have. Like, as bad as they are, they've taken marketing to the next level with all this information that you have, and it's only going to get more and more. Like soon every company is going to have their own Facebook, every company is going to have their own YouTube, every company is going to have their own Amazon, probably,
It's going to be interesting seeing how privacy culture changes all of that. Like, the war between Facebook and Apple over Apple data privacy protocol is fascinating, and the effect that has on marketers. And I'm watching all of my American marketing friends and some of my clients completely wig out. And I've been dealing with GDPR for the first 10 years of my career. This is exactly GDPR. Like, if you can sell to anyone in the EU, you don't need to really worry about the Apple Facebook changes. You just get better at what you do. Like, the marketing is so technical now that the technical side of it, you can learn that's easy. If you are a creative person, the game is yours once you've learned the technical side, because these people, they're not creative. They just built an automated system and went, cool, we can chill, that'll work. And no, it won't. Humans don't function like that.
We don't function like that anymore because we keep finding out. Like, we're finding out more and more about the lies that technically were told before. Like, it was with like cigarettes. Let's take cigarettes for example. For the longest time, we were told cigarettes are great, they're healthy, the doctor smokes. And then coming into the 80s and 90s, there was this huge push like, no, cigarettes are fucking bad for you. And then now it's like the health warnings on the cigarettes, like there's like, say no to cigarettes. Whereas when I was growing up, it was kind of like, oh yeah, everyone smokes, you can smoke on a plane, it's okay.
I remember that.
Ugh. And now it's like, I remember when bars in Montreal stopped allowing smoking indoors. Like, they were not allowed, you weren't allowed to smoke indoors. And everybody's like, my right to smoke, you're taking away my freedom. Now everybody's like, what are you doing smoking inside? And for privacy, going back to that, I think it's going to be, because a lot of people were like, oh, you have to be careful, you can't share anything on the internet, to now you're like ordering a car from a stranger and food from strangers to deliver them to your house. Like, people can find you easily. But there's now a switch to, because business owners I'm seeing are going harder into the social media, they're putting their privacy by keeping their family private, or they're keeping certain things private now. Whereas before, you were putting everything online, if you will.
But the effects for any kind of digital entrepreneur in terms of the privacy changes is more in terms of tracking. Like, we now have so much information on our customers, and most of it's behind an IDFA. Like, you have an anonymized number, but we know all your purchases and how often you're on that site and this, that, and the other. And Apple's just brought in a change where we're not going to have access to any of that information for anyone in Apple. So that completely changes the way that you market to people, because you suddenly realize that, okay, I'm still going to be getting all this tracking data, but I need to be aware that that's really only for Android users. And those are different people. That's a different age group. It's different economic sectors. Like, I'm not rich. I have an Android. I've never owned an Apple product in my life. So you can still track me, but I can't get tracking information on all the rich people I actually want to sell to because they have the bank account.
So funny enough, banks already have all that information. I work in the banking industry, so like the targeting, and it's funny because people are like, oh, banks is okay. They can literally know when you're about to have a child. The information that banks have on you is insane compared to what Apple and Facebook have on you. Because I can, with the information, they can literally, with just the information they have as a client, they can take that information and put it in Facebook, even without the Apple.
Yeah, and there's a lot of companies that are more intensively starting to manually do that. Like, I had a client recently who was telling me that they were trying to understand without having to go through customer personae and that whole professional rigmarole. They were trying to get a clearer idea of who their customer segmentations were. And I was like, honestly, get an intern and go and sit on Twitter. Who is following you on Twitter? Go and look at every single Twitter account. Who is following you on Facebook? Who's engaging with your stuff? Manually go and look through and do it that way. How many people these age groups? How many people from these countries? It's going to give you, it's not qualitative analysis, but it's going to start giving you a rough indication. Like, if you don't have the ability to go and do a full survey of your customer segmentation, sit on Twitter and look at profiles and work it out.
Yeah, it's if you have to build it yourself to get the information, and there's a lot of data scientists that will be more than happy that know coding to do that for you, even. And so that, which is great, because that's giving back to the sciences where we weren't listening to the sciences for so long.
Yeah, I would say if you're a digital entrepreneur navigating any of these areas, if you are teaching yourself this, particularly in terms of tracking, if you are not using existing systems that you have paid for, be really, really careful, because the existing systems, they pay attention. Like California has a different protocol, and we can't legally track people from California in the same way we can from the rest of the states. The Europe again. And if I'm setting up tracking through Hootsuite or whatever, that automatically going to make sure that I'm not breaking the law. Yeah. But if I'm trying to rig stuff together by myself and I'm manually tracking people off my own email list that I built, be really careful, because people get massively sued for that. Like the second you are tracking data, and if you are storing data, like these are legal issues, and they're very, very important to stay on top of.
Yeah, when I say building it yourself, this is when you're at a place where you have the funds to hire a team to build as a business, build it so that it is compliant with all the rules. Before you get
we don't know who's listening to your podcast.
That's true.
But
That's
as a digital marketing strategist, some of the ex C-suite Fortune 500 executives who've come to me with a new business thing, and they've done X and Y and Z, and I'm sitting there going, you have absolutely no understanding of compliance. Like, all of this is completely illegal, and it's going to take me 9 years to explain that to you.
Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, if you're going to start a new business and need tracking, do yourself a favor, invest in one that does it for you, that you can afford, before you start building it yourself. Because if you try and build it yourself and do all the tracking yourself, obviously you'll get in a lot of trouble.
There's a really great website. I believe it's g2.com. And in terms of tech software and marketing software, pretty much everything you can imagine on there, you can look up all the different kinds of software you might want, depending on whether you're looking at project management or CMS or whatever you need sorted. The important part of the user reviews, they tend to be really detailed. So people list what company size they're coming from, and they'll list what they used it for, what it worked for, and what it didn't. And it's really easy when being on an on-product site to not be able to show, I'm going to go with this subscription service, or I'm going to go with this subscription service. I can't tell the difference. G2, these are real users who are going to be like, oh yeah, this is great if you're an enterprise level company. This is not going to work if you're an SMB. So I don't put any money anywhere without cross-referencing on G2, and it hasn't put me wrong yet.
That's excellent. Thank you so much for providing that. That's an amazing website to have. You already provided more value than I can ever provide, period. And the fact that you just gave this wicked site that can help entrepreneurs figure out what is the best software for them is even better.
It's so good. Oh, my other favorite free site, marketers, we all use this, particularly if you're in any kind of content marketing, or if you're doing SEO, you're wondering around keyword optimization, anything like that. There's this guy called Neil Patel.
Oh, yes. Neil is amazing.
Yeah, he's a genius. Sign up for his newsletter for sure. Get him in your inbox every single week. He has a tool called Uber Suggest. And anytime I'm stuck for content, particularly if I'm trying to drive traffic to a specific client, I will usually go to his keyword suggest tool and look at some of his content suggestions. And he'll usually unlock 5 to 10 ideas in your brain, and that's all free as well.
Jesus. I have his, I'm on his email list, as well as Noah Kagan from AppSumo.
Yeah.
I'm on both of their email list, and I haven't jumped into Neil's yet, but 1 or 2 articles that he sends out, I love how he sends out, these are the articles for the week, check it out.
Yeah.
And he gives you the little synopsis for it, and it's great. And I've read a couple of them, and I'm like, oh, this is gold. And
have you ever played around on Uber Suggest, the tool he built?
No, I haven't. I never even heard of Uber Suggest. So I'm going to be doing that pretty much the minute this podcast finishes. I'm jumping on it, because I do have two clients in my digital marketing that are looking to launch SaaS products.
Nice.
For one is a AI content creation for blogs and content ideas. And the other one is a SaaS for indie filmmakers to have a platform that they can put on, and they can receive a revenue from their indie film.
That's
So
cool.
yeah, it's like taking Netflix and the movie going experience into one. So
That's a smart idea.
yeah, and
I'm
I'm so excited. We're doing a mini launch shortly. By the time this actually podcast comes out, we should have already done the initial like beta launch, and
cool.
moving into the trying to get up to 1 million subscribers by the end of the year, which is
Nice.
very doable now that the world is pretty much open on the internet.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting how much higher some of my targets have suddenly gotten from clients. Budget's staying the same.
Yeah, budget stays the same, and you're like, I can do that. I can work with that. I have Facebook, I have Twitter, I can do that. But
Yeah.
She's like, yeah, so we want to hit about $1 million or 1 million subscribers by the end of the year, and I'm like, that's not hard because you're a movie. I'm already in the movie world because of my first podcast, so I already have access to a huge network there. Plus, I know podcasters love being able to sponsor, and I told her, look, give me links for 2-day or 2 weeks subscriptions, and I'll give those out to a whole bunch of podcasters, and they'll love it.
Yeah. If you're listening and you're confused as to how he can know that he can make a million by the end of the year, there are formulas that we use. When we were talking about KPIs earlier, you can take your budget, you can take, the
network size.
Yeah, the network size, and then a standard industry conversion rate. It won't be exact, but you can look a lot up that are adjacent, and then you can plug that in and get numbers and start to benchmark back. And when we're starting with the digital marketing strategy and you give us a budget and a timeline, when we're building it, we're plugging everything into these formulas and tracking back and making sure that we can actually hit the numerical deliverable targets that you want. So if you're a digital entrepreneur sitting there going, how does he know 1 million? He absolutely does. You can Google this. And if Google isn't answering you and all of this is too confusing, you can find me on Twitter. I will explain how at the end. I don't mind explaining this stuff because marketing is fun. These are toys.
Oh, it's so much fun. Like before, marketing was like this elusive, like only rich people would understand marketing. You can't. But now, like thanks to Google, like everything is online. Everything is online, or you can find someone that will teach you. You have Skillshare that has courses. Udemy probably has courses. You can reach out to Sophia if you want. I'm pretty sure she'll help you out or give you advice on where to go. HubSpot right there. Monster Insight as well. Like there's tons of places that are built specifically to help you, and because they only care about helping other people get rich.
And if you are more of a video learner, I would direct you towards Moz. If you prefer to read stuff, I'd go to HubSpot. Google has a lot of stuff that you can like fiddle through and actively do without breaking. Google Sheets, never forget Google Sheets. They have 1 billion sheets for marketers that give you a lot of templates and forms that are perfect.
Google, just the tools that Google has for their small business people is amazing. Like if you're a digital marketer or if you want to start going into the digital marketing, just learn some of the Google tools and go to local restaurants and help them get online.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
right there, you're like, look, I can help you bring in local business to you because okay, Facebook, in Montreal, I just need to go, okay, people who are in Montreal and like pizza. Boom.
That's a difficult one though. Like I would have said a couple of years ago that you could have done that with confidence. Whereas now I think you might be advertising a service that's going to be a lot harder to deliver. Like at the moment, roughly 50% of location-based information is wrong.
Oh.
It's based on the last time the person logged into that app, which doesn't necessarily mean, you're targeting everyone within a mile of this restaurant with location-based targeting. I actually last logged onto Wi-Fi when I was within a mile of that restaurant, but now I'm sitting at home on the other side of town and you just paid for a hit that you're not actually getting. And if that's 50% of your ad budget, shit, particularly if, the average conversion rate in the restaurant industry last time I checked was something like 3.4%. So you look at 3.4% of 50, not even of 100, a small business can't then afford that. So there are ways to do these things, but anything that is going to in any way involve location based or moving traffic from the digital space to bricks and mortar, that's become a lot more difficult in the last year and a half than it was previously. And I would say that SEO experts can do it. I'm good at SEO. I don't charge people for SEO. I don't consider myself an SEO expert. I will write your digital marketing strategy. I'll write all of your content. I deliver 99% from soup to nuts of the entire product. The one thing I subcontract out is SEO, because you have to be an expert or you're wasting people's money.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That's good. And right there, if you like learning about SEO, you can become expert in that and just sell that service.
Absolutely. And it's really important. There are a lot of shitty courses out there. Mm-hmm. So check your user reviews before you bother to go and do any certification. I generally wouldn't do one through a university.
No, don't use universities. Unfortunately, are I think universities are going to get more specific to more trade school like doctors, lawyers, and that, versus everything else is probably going to be YouTube and Google.
What I would say though is if you're getting trained through the tech space, like the thing that I'm most excited about is when you say that you're working for an AI content creation company.
Yeah.
I am so excited by AI content creation because my sole USP in the market space is that my major expertise is writing. I'm a very good writer. My pedigree as a writer is proven. That's why I don't necessarily need to go and ask for work. People come to me. Mm-hmm. It's being a writer. And most content out there is shit. Let's be honest. It is. Mm-hmm. It's either fine or shit, which is why when something's brilliantly written, we share it and we'll spend 40 minutes on a long read, which is not the kind of content we don't give that much of a time sink to anything else. But really good writing grabs us because it's relatively rare. AI is not that great yet. It's fine. Good content written by a human can still beat it and will still be able to beat it for the next 4, 5, 6 years. And the more AI is taking up more of that space, if you are a human who is actually a truly talented writer and understands writing for marketing, which is a slightly different space, triple your prices. People will pay them.
Oh yeah.
If you are better, you get the traffic. So yeah, the more you see AI coming in, if you're a good writer, start increasing your prices loftily.
Yeah, and people and the market will tell you how good you are by raise it $1,000 or triple your like you said, triple it, and the market will pay you. And if they're paying you at the triple rate, triple it again until the market stops paying you, or you'll find someone who will pay you at that level.
And if you are hiring content creators, I mean, most of the packages out there will usually cost you about $2,000 a month for fully optimized SEO, 3 to 5 pieces of content a month. It seems like a lot of money. It's actually a fair amount of work. If you're looking at buying those, ask them their average conversion rates, ask them subscriber rates, ask them how many email addresses they're getting. Like, what is their success with the call to actions? Mm-hmm. You know, because if you write a blog post, there's a reason for that. You have a purpose in everything you're doing with content marketing. Either you want the holy grail, you want the email address, because that's the cheapest way to get someone forever and to be able to develop a personal relationship.
Yeah.
Or you want them to download a white paper, or you want them to subscribe and start giving you $5 a month. Your thing has a purpose. So in terms of this shit that they are creating, to what degree are they numerically delivering on that purpose across their client base? And they should be able to show that to you. They should have a fact sheet and look at those numbers. And if you have 4 or 5 companies that are all charging you $2,000 a month, because that's generally the rate, compare on those numbers. And then when you come to an individual person, because there are a bunch of us where it's a team of 1 or 2 people and we do niche work and our prices are not that. Ask why. And you will understand why our prices are not that. And if you can afford it, I would say always go and find the niche. I've had so much more success, even on the agency level, dealing with agencies that are ultimately 2 people who create the content, and they have maybe 5 or 6 people max that they work with to do some of the optimization.
That's brilliant, because it's just brilliant. It's smart, because if they're charging more for their service, they have to be warranted that price.
And usually they're experts, and that's why they're niche. Like most people, if someone is saying they're in content creation and they're working in any space, run. You know, like I have free spaces that I work in, and I can work outside those spaces. My price is half if they don't come lower than that, because part of what you're buying is my expertise and understanding of that space. The fact that I'm not going to have to self-educate to understand what's behind your content. Like long form content is performing so much better on the internet. They used to say, oh, you want to put no more than 300 words and then an image. You don't want a blog piece to go over 1,200 words. Now content over 3,000 words is outperforming all of that.
Yeah, it's because we want more information. We're given so little information before. Now we're driving for information. We want to be educated. We want that information, and the reason why we're asking, you have to ask what these matrices are and what your KPIs and that you want to hit, is because before people were just lying to us.
Yeah.
Like,
and it's got this longer form stuff. It's called pillar content, right? Because it's stuff that even an expert in your industry, everything they would want to know is in this one piece of content. And that makes it evergreen, and it makes it eminently shareable. And honestly, a good blog post, a good 3,000 word blog post, if you're not already holding the expertise in that subject, you're talking about 6 hours of work. And that seems insane until 5 years later, where you're sharing that blog post for the 5th annual time and still getting 20,000 shares off it, at which point you've monetized that 6 hours so many times over.
Yeah, the cost per hour now is like hundreds of dollars versus the $1 or $2 it was at the beginning.
Yeah. Be careful with agencies, and be careful with content creation. Make sure that you're dealing with people who care about your subject.
Mm-hmm. That's the one thing. Like if like agencies, big corporations that are handling this, you're just a number to them.
Mm-hmm.
But with a small agent, a boutique agency, you're their life. It's like, if you're going for a plumber, what do? Do you go on YouTube and try and figure it out how you do it, or do you pay a professional to come and fix your toilet?
Yeah,
that's all it is. It's the same thing with your digital marketers or your content creators. Their job is so specific to help you out that they're warranting the price. Like you don't blink when it costs you $100 to call a plumber to fix something. So why are you blinking when it costs you $1,000 for a content creator, when you know that if they show you that they can convert a large portion of it, it's perfect for you.
But also remember, particularly in the small business domain, that there's always in-kind funding. Like if you keep hearing us talking about having to pay people, and you're sitting there and going, this is screwing 90% of my clients, this is digital entrepreneurship. You have no idea how much I've achieved in my career by trading.
Oh yeah, me too. My first 2 clients, it was I did it fully for free, because I needed the testimonial. So I'm like, look, I'll do it for free if you give me the testimonial. And they're like, sure, no problem. And so I helped them out, and they loved what I did, and they gave me the testimonial. So it's worth it. Sometimes, you know what? Okay, I should be charging you, but you're a big name, and you have you're willing to give me a testimonial. I'll take that, and that can help me in the SEO because it's now linked to a bigger name or something,
Yeah, absolutely. And it's also like a good way to upskill in a new area. Like I recently had a client who came to me, and she's a personal trainer, and she wanted to get a bunch more clients. And I was like, well, this doesn't necessarily interest me, because it's not actually enough work. You know what I mean? Like that's not something to sink your teeth into. That's, yeah, sure, I can set up you an Instagram localized ad campaign. Fine, that's 10 minutes on a Monday.
Yeah, I'll charge you $5,000, and that's 10 minutes of work.
But
that's good.
Well, I it was for a donation to the Black Trans Femme Solidarity Network. That's that
amazing.
Was cool. Right? It's a really cool way. If you don't actually need the money sometimes, and you actually would benefit by upskilling yourself, see if you can donate the money to charity, or see if you can time bank it, turn around to that person and go, you owe me something, I'm going to collect it later, I don't want it now.
Yeah, just like I just got connected to a personal trainer, funny enough, and I'm like, you know what? My goal this year is to shed some pounds, get in shape. Maybe I'll help him on his digital marketing side and he can help me get in shape. It's
Exactly.
you scratch my back, I scratch your back, and it's
Well, because here's the thing, right? 3 months later, I got her so many clients that she's actually now looking at opening up a gym. And she's got a bunch of investors on board, and I'm looking at the business plan and deciding whether or not I want to invest, because I actually think there's some real money in this.
hey, there's no loss in it. You can invest a small amount, it works, you get money.
Yeah.
If it doesn't, you're like, it's fair. I attempted, I learned that investing in gyms isn't the thing for me today.
We just had a meeting like 2 months in, and she's like, I have too many clients. And I was like, okay, wicked. Who do you else who trains? And then the gym that she was training them all at, it was a mate of hers, and he was letting them train for free. And he was like, are you now basically running a gym out of my gym?
Yes, I am.
This is not on. And so she came around to mine, and she's like, I don't know what to do. And I was like, okay, let's mathematically calculate how many clients do you need to actually be able to afford to run a gym yourself. And it turns out that she was 9 clients short. So let's go.
If you got there too many clients, I'm pretty sure you could probably get her to that 9 more clients that she needs.
Oh, easily. I mean, we're well over. I just
obviously.
opened the Instagram ads a little bit more. Like it's not difficult, particularly if you're looking at Instagram ads, because I mean you have to be careful, right? There was a 74% rise in social media advertising over COVID, which means that like this is not as easy as it was last March. You're now dealing with everyone. Just remember that people need to see an ad more than once, a minimum of 3 times in 30 days to have any effect. Usually the magic number is somewhere around 7 times, but you want to test. One ad, one purpose. But you've never heard of a brand once and then gone in and bought the thing, right? That isn't how you work. You've had to develop a relationship with the brand. You can Google this. There's a thing called the marketing funnel. It works. There's a lot of fuss now about how it's going away and this, that, and the other. They say that every 3 months it's not going anywhere. It works. Google image it, look at what it is, understand it, and then start thinking, okay, what is the different purposes that each ad needs to have in a series to get the person to the result I want to get them? Like to get this personal trainer off using Instagram alone with a $50 a month budget to be oversubscribed inside 3 months. We didn't run one ad campaign on $50. We run super localized, very small ad campaigns, and then we kept changing them. And we had such a small targeting group. I think we only in the end targeted, I think it was 9,000 people. I got super, super tight. And you have to be careful, the tighter you get, the less your reach. And so unless you're dead on with your psychographics, that's not necessary. She's a hot lesbian who was sitting there with a 6-pack working out in a sports bra. I was like, I'm just throwing you to Seattle lesbians. This is fine. It works. Know your market.
I'm not going to lie. Even that I'm not a lesbian nor gay in any sense.
You want the handle.
I'm sorry. I'm a man. I want the 6-pack. So if you're showing me that a woman can do it and she's willing to take me on as a customer, yes, I want the 6-pack. I'm going to come. But you want that base first. Like you went for her a strong, solid base, and then she can. Now that she has her gym, she can start going out to the outside market of her niche. But we
targeted granularly based on her identity, also knowing that the queer group in particular is a group that backs our own. So the engagement and the social shares we got of her ads were insane, and we backed the ad campaign. So ads on Instagram are always native; they look like posts anyway. Which meant that we started. You can make that work on the other side, right? Make the posts that you're actually having on your Instagram look like your ads a little bit, and then people will share your posts, and then people are confusing your ads and your posts because they look exactly the same, and you're getting double traction. If that makes sense. They're not scrolling past because they go ad scroll past. They go, oh, it might be a post.
So true. Make it brand. You have to brand yourself as the brand ambassador for it.
You had a podcaster say that he knew, you know, curse words and beers and tattoos was his market. And if you know, bearded dudes with tattoos is your market, fucking genius. There's millions of them. Go for it.
Look, I'm one of them myself. Like, and I know at least a dozen more that aren't on podcasts or that I would buy whatever for beards. Like, the amount of stuff I bought off bearded men is it's sad, really.
Bearded men are lovely.
I know.
They are generally the least problematic of all straight men, I find, unless they're right wing. Yes,
we're big teddy bears. That's all it is. We're just big teddy bears. We play with our beard and we're happy. That's all. Yeah. Just like, you know, just rub your nails through the beard and you got the bearded man will do whatever you need. Pretty much.
The only nicer person is the goth.
Yeah, that's so true. The goth and the emo, I find, are the very nice people. Sometimes too sad, but it's okay. That's their niche. They enjoy the sadness, but they're the nicest people. The reason is because what I find, and this is going into my sociology mind, it's because they were the ones who were always tormented when they were young, so they're the most accepting when they're older.
I get that,
and that's all it is. And I'm like, you know what? There's more that we're similar than we're different. Like, I don't.
The people who are worse when they're older are the people who tended to only live in one town and have never left it, and really resolutely are sticking to that voluntarily rather than haven't been able to, which is a different group of people.
Yeah. I'm very lucky. I'm very happy. I was pissed off when I was younger, but my dad, because of his job, made us move. So I experienced different cultures and communities in my formative years. So now that I'm older, I'm like, I don't really care. I don't care.
No wonder you're good at marketing.
Thank you very much. That's a huge compliment. And I just started. So I feel blessed that you're saying this to me. And we're coming to the end. I want to give you your time here, Sophia, to market yourself, but you've pretty much marketed yourself this whole episode. If you have not I've gotten like 4 pieces of great content just right here, just in the talking. And when I re-listen to it, I know I'm going to get more. But the G2 website, Neil Patel, Uber Suggest, Moz, like those will probably take any digital marketer to the next level. HubSpot, I forgot about HubSpot, you know.
Yeah.
Like,
don't forget SlideShare. And if you have an old audience, advertise on Bing. It's cheap. They're there.
I was just looking at Bing as well. And I got a free course actually on Bing advertising.
It's good, actually.
Yeah, it's another place that you can market that. You know what? Yes, they're more narrow than Google. Google is like everybody, but it's considered another niche that you can use.
Yep.
And so, yeah. So, Sophia, if you have anything you want to promote, go ahead. Maybe you want to promote for your clients or anything like that. This is your time.
I don't really promote. I'm a digital marketing strategist, and I rarely actually take on new clients. I have a pretty good stable, but sometimes I do. You can find me on Twitter at Poet Walker. My DMs are open. You can't find me anywhere else on the internet. I set myself the goal at 21 of being good enough that I never needed to apply for a job again. Turns out the point where the United Nations commissions you to write something is the point where you never need to apply for a job again.
Well, yeah, it's kind of like I wrote for the president or the leader of the free world. Instead, you just went one above it. I wrote for the free world. That's not many people can say that. Like, I feel honored that I had the ability to talk with someone that was hired by the United Nations to handle their like written content. Because
it was just one thing, but I will milk it till I die. And it was for the Paris COP15 climate change events. So it feels like it particularly mattered a little bit so that we don't all burn to death.
Well, yeah, you know, but still, you have a title that no one else can have. Well, unless they've written for the United Nations and are a digital marketer. But like, this is your bread and butter. Like, this is something you can throw out to a client. Go, well, the other digital marketers didn't write for the UN, did they?
Well, here's the shitty thing. If someone's actually a properly good writer, they are under NDAs the entire time. So when you come across one of us that's really good, we're going to give you 1 or 2 names, and those 1 or 2 names will be 4 to 5 years old, and that will be a legal constraint. So I can tell you another client was Public Health England. I can't tell you anything else. I can tell you if you're hiring a writer who's throwing name after name after name at you, they're kind of shit.
It's good to know.
Yeah, at Poet Walker, if you have any questions about any of this, I'm interested in helping entrepreneurs because we are all in it together and it's good fun. Otherwise, Moz and HubSpot will help you out. And when you're really stuck, there are a lot of geek forums out there. Google your specific question plus the word forum, and you will find the specific more niche places where people are willing to help you out. And you would be surprised how often throwing a question up on Quora gets it answered.
Oh, Quora is another great place to get either provide content to help people or get help. Remember, you have to.
If I was a podcaster, I would be on Quora all the time under anything topic adjacent, answering questions and throwing in podcast links in my answer.
Oh yeah, I'm doing that now on Facebook because I've luckily had so many different amazing guests in my first season, and like people are like, oh, I have questions about editing. I'm like, this is the top 3 tips that my friend I interviewed about editing says. Here you can listen to the whole episode, and I've just seen my podcasting jump because of it.
Make each of those into an infographic and start throwing all this shit up on SlideShare. You should start thinking of yourself as B2B because you are. And
I am. I've this year is straight B2B, and I'm cool. Now that you told me about Slido, I'm going to go to Slido and put stuff up there.
Slido, LinkedIn, and I would also, if you don't yet, look at Get Advantage of Substack and Get Advantage of Medium.
Medium, it is.
I mean, generally, blogs are very good for any kind of small businesses. Small businesses with blogs generate 126% more leads than those without. But Medium's an ability to put your blog posts on a speakerphone, so you might as well.
Yeah, that's the plan. As soon as I can get one more client, I can leave my 9-to-5 and I can jump fully into it. And that's all it is. I know I'm going to get that one more client soon. And
do you have a strategy?
Right now it's just using Facebook, just doing organic on Facebook, no paid yet. And just simple like that. I'm slow. I'm not in a rush. I have the goal at the end of the year by my birthday, and it's already I already have the two clients. I just need one more, and I'm done. And it's already 8 days into the year, so I'm not worried.
If you wanna have any kind of strategy session or anything like that for free before you leave your 9-to-5, I'm 100% backing anyone who's willing to take a risk on themselves. So get back in touch, share my contact details, and I'm willing to spend some time and go through any of your stuff and give you some pointers.
Thank you. Oh my God. My jaw has hit the floor out of this value-packed episode. This is going to be my first episode of 20 for the next season because it's so amazing.
Thank you. But no, seriously, hit me up because if you're taking the leap, I will 100% back you.
You 100%. You will be before I leave my 9-to-5. We're getting on another Zoom call and we're going to discuss everything I should be strategically in place. And cool. I'm going to do you one better. Once we finish this, I'm going to let you know about an actual huge client of mine that probably would be beneficial. And I'll put you in touch with him.
Thank you. That's really kind of you.
You're very welcome. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I am Philip. She's been Sophia, the goddess of knowledge for digital marketing. Thank you so much for being here and investing in my guests and investing in me. And so if she's willing to invest in me, invest in yourself, guys. She's provided you with so much knowledge. That's why the show's called Invest in Yourself. She's provided you with a whole bunch of knowledge, and this is the first episode. Just imagine what the rest of my episodes will have. So again, Sophia, thank you so much, and everybody have a great night. Ladies and gentlemen, the amount of help that Sophia has given to me after this episode with just the advice for my client, but also that offer to help me when I decide to go solo is amazing. So I can't thank her enough for being a guest on the show, and I encourage you, if you have any questions, reach out to her at her Twitter. The handle is down below. And with that being said, guys, I have great news. I finished the book. It's already been sent to Lloyd. If you don't know who Lloyd is, you'll hear him later on. He's reading it. He loves it. I've sent it to other people to edit, to make it more better. So it's coming along. I'm so excited for you guys to read. If you want to get a copy, send me an email at book@feelbetterinc.com and I will send you the link once it goes live so that you guys can order it. Whether it's you're listening to this now as it's released or later on, send me an email and I'll guarantee you I will get the link to the book. I thank you again for listening and remember to invest in yourself.
Thanks for tuning in. Now it's time to take the next step. When you're ready to dive deeper into how to launch, grow, and monetize your podcast, Phil's got something special for you. Join him for a free webinar where he'll reveal the 3 secrets that have helped countless entrepreneurs succeed in podcasting. Click the link in the show notes to save your spot, and let's turn your podcasting dreams into reality.